Good morning everybody, welcome back to my channel. Belinda here from Visualised NZ. Hopefully going to keep this short. They seem to be a bit shorter this week, but I've got hubby home sick, so he's banished to the bedroom where it's a little bit cold. So get through this and I can bring him back into the warmth. So I'm going to be doing labels today. This is my new digital kit that's available, which I just wanted to show you. So there's 2 pages. This one is of horizontal labels and this one is of vertical labels. Now, although they are oriented specifically the way I've said, I've made them so some of them can be used either way. For example, this one here, you can easily turn that on the side and use it the other way. And some of them I've made so that you can cut them and use them differently. So for example, hopefully you can see it, this one here, which is a vertical one, but you can also use it horizontally. You can choose to cut it down the middle and around the edges and turn it into 2 labels. And there's another one here, specifically this one, which you can trim down the middle and make 2 square labels out of it. I also want to talk about the colour. Now this is just printed on my Epson Eco Tank and it's presentation paper, and it's printed at standard quality, so it's watercolour background, so it's quite light and delicate, very pretty. And then there's this one which is printed on the same paper at standard vivid setting on my printer. So if I can put them side by side, just find a comparison. Oops, it'd be easier if they were cut out to do this, but however, hopefully you can see that. So this is the standard printing and this is the vivid printing, and there's quite a significant difference. So you can alter the result you get and the depth of colour you want by the type of paper you use, but also the setting on your printer. Now this sheet that I showed you, this is a freebie that's available in the Facebook group Visual Vibes, and it's same designs, 4 vertical and 4 horizontal, taken from the kit but done in different colours. So there's some different colour options and they're separated so easy to cut out. So that's available in the group Visual Vibes. If you want to come and grab that, you do need to join the group to be able to access it. But that's the freebie, and for every digital kit that I release, I do a freebie in the group for group members. So there's that kit. I've been obsessed with labels lately. I just love labels. I really enjoy popping them on ephemera, decorating things up with them. And one of the things, I've been buying up lots of printables and I've made my own labels there, but you can also make your own labels easily, and I've been doing this for a while, and as you know, probably if you've been watching my videos, I love label stamps. So this is my 2-cent label set that I bought off AliExpress recently. Just going to take it out of the package. I've got some sort of travel related ones here, postcard, a mini postcard, frame there, a ticket. So tickets are good as well. Then there's this travel set, which I'm not sure, I don't think I'll be using today, so I'll just put that aside. And then this new one which turned up yesterday, again from AliExpress, which I want to have a play with. I did use it yesterday when I got home and opened it up. I did stamp everything just to see how it worked, and it works beautifully. It stamps really nicely. And it's got these 2 frames on it, which is primarily why I got it. And I love the splashes, and the scripty text is just beautiful. Okay, so we're going to talk about bases. Sorry, I just had to put you on pause because my husband had to let one of the cats out, and it was just highly distracting. I couldn't continue with that going on in the background. Okay, so bases. This is something I've loved doing forever, not particularly with labels, because my fascination with labels is relatively new, but for all sorts of other things, collage, strips of colour on cards, whatever, whatever the use, but same principle. But I'm going to be stamping on paper, paper that I wouldn't have any other use for. So I'm going to just flick through the types of paper I've got. So I've got this book page. It's from a children's book. And I find this particular illustration is actually a little bit scary. And it talks about a beware of the lava lizard on the back. So I think this is a lava explosion. And then there's these creepy things around and faces in the lava. And I find it all a bit disturbing, to be honest. But it's got some beautiful colour in it. So I want to use that because I can't think of any other way I would use it. Then I've got pieces out of magazines. I like magazines that have matte paper. So Frankie, which is an Australian magazine, Flow magazine, ones like that have beautiful matte paper and lovely illustrations, which I harvest for collage. And then there's ones like this where I can't think of anywhere that this is Weet-Bix, a breakfast cereal. I don't know where else I would use that, but I really like the pattern in the background. So there's that, and there's a map on the back, could use that as well. A strip from an article, just a decorative strip from above that. Nowhere else to use that. This, hopefully you can see, is a woman's scarf that she was wearing in a photograph. And I really just like the colour and texture of that. Then there's this poster. These three are all out of a Frankie magazine, and I think this is Frankie as well. It doesn't say. It might be out of Flow. I can't remember. A poster, so it's on a thicker paper, sort of a light cardstock. It's actually got a cool green background, so you could use the green if you didn't like the front. But I thought areas of this would make really cool labels as well. Again, out of one of those two magazines. I've mixed them up now, so I can't remember which I pulled from where. And it's got cobblestones, and I thought that could be interesting. Another illustration with some lovely blues, not something I'd use anywhere else, but some really great areas of plain colour with a light sort of watercoloury texture. Here's another strip just from, I think this was around an advertisement, so there was an advertisement in the middle and this border, so I took a bit of that. Another illustration of an article. Yeah, just not something I'd use in any other way, but it's got some great texture and colour. And then an advertisement with some really cool texture and colour. And I always check the back for what might be on the other side. And then a photograph. This one not so much on the back, it's a bit dark, but I thought this wood texture on this photograph from an article would be good. And then these tile images from ads for shoes, and it's got different one on different sides, so you have to make a bit of a decision. But I do have 2 copies of this particular magazine, so I can use one and then I can grab the other one out of the other magazine and do the other side. So typically you'd only have one of it and have to choose. So that's the type of papers I'm talking about, things that you like. They've got pretty colours and patterns, but which you don't really have any other use for. Things like this I would quite happily tear and use in collage, and that's fabulous, and I still do that, but I'm focused on labels today. So I'm just going to start with this one since I've got it in front of me, and grab one of my new labels. And I like doing this in black ink. Now some of the printing ink on the papers may not take to it too well, so it does take a bit of experimentation. And stays on ink probably works really well, but I don't have that. And then I want to get as many as I can out of an area, so I'm just trying to line it up to make the most of that. And I'm just going to clean my stamp off because I want to do the next step. And I think I'll use my fussy cutting scissors for this. Just going to roughly cut it out first. just so you can see the result of what it comes out like, because it's so much easier to appreciate it once it's in its final form. And when you cut out these labels, you can fussy cut them right around on the black line, or you can leave a border, and I like to do a bit of both depending on my mood or what I'm looking for or how carefully I want to cut it. So sorry, it won't take me too long to get this done. So hopefully everyone's having a good day. We've had some beautiful days over the last few days, and now it's turned all cold and bleak and grey, and we had some rain overnight. So we're back in, it was feeling so spring-like, and now we're definitely back in winter. So I've got the fire going, it's nice and toasty warm here, which is good. And I've got a headache myself today, so I think perhaps we're both suffering a bit from the same cold or whatever. Okay, so there we go. Can you see that lovely cute little label with texture on it and pattern? And you can totally write on that. You could stamp another image, you could stamp some words, however you want to treat it. So they turn out super cute using things that you like, or maybe you don't. Doing this technique, you can actually turn things that overall you think it's really boring, or I don't like it, or what have you, and actually turn it into something that you love, just by taking little pieces of it. So I'm just going to do a little one here, so the dots run a different way, and it's a stronger colour down here, and we've got a bit of shadow, so hopefully you can see that. So once that's cut out, it's going to look super cute. Don't know why I'm cleaning my stamp. Okay, so I want to show you some different ones. So we've got this this strip here, and I don't know if you can see that it's got a pattern, a little white pattern on it. It may not show up in the camera because of the light. I'm just going to go in, and actually I'll go above the words where it's narrower, so I'm not wasting the depth here. And there we go. Lovely label. Now I am going to clean off my stamp now and change out, so you get some different effects. And if you wanted to dress it up a bit more, I might just do this one. There's these wee sort of splatter stamps, which are super cool. Oops, sorry, just knocked the tripod. Hope you're not seasick. Now you can do this in black as well. You could do it in a colour if you prefer. A light grey would be cool, or a coffee colour to represent like a coffee splatter. I'm going to use black, but I'm going to stamp it off a little bit first and then come in so it's not so dark. And I've got a little air bubble on under there, so it hasn't whoops, get it in the camera, hasn't stamped that well, but still fine for what it needs to be. And then I might get another one out of that. Yep. And so when you cut it, you cut off this excess bit at the edges, and you just get this cool detail there. So you can mix and match your stamps as well, like I did in the video earlier. Whenever I did that video, was it this week or last week? I cannot remember. They're all sort of blurring together. So that's another idea for you. Just layering up those stamps to make some interesting effects and customize them even more. Okay, so this is a long label. So I'm going to do this on this paper as well. Actually, I might not, because I want to retain that depth. So we'll go for a different bit of paper, maybe this wood grain one. Just move my book out the way. Maybe I'll go down here, and I'm going to deliberately do it so that the wood, I think the logs, are going diagonally through the label, or you could line it up with the logs and have it going horizontally or vertically. So here we get a totally different look, not just the stamp shape, but the the background texture of it. And then I might do one of these in this fence paling one, and let's do them so they go horizontally across the label. So darker images work not so well because it's harder to see, but once it's cut out, your shape is fine. So I might just cut that one out so you can see it a bit better. And so you can see the shape, because it's actually quite a nice shape. And let's give this one a wee border just so you can see how that looks as well. Oops. Try and stay on the paper. So yeah, hopefully this is inspiring you guys to try something that maybe you haven't tried before, or if you've got any other ideas for these cool bits of magazine images and things that perhaps I haven't mentioned, or which you do or enjoy doing, using them for. Love to hear any ideas out there. Always looking at trying to get the most, because once I've been through a magazine and harvested the images I want, I then like to go through and look at the background or the textures and colours of things, and whether there's enough space to turn them into a label or something else. So there we go. There's that label with its border. Okay, so let's try thinking maybe a different stamp. So pop that one away and go for one of these ones. Now these ones have text, so I want to try one of these. Maybe this one. And these ones in this set do stamp better if I put a book underneath, so I'm going to bring my glue book back to stamp on top of. And would this one be a, yeah, I think that one will look nice there. And get a bit of that green in the side, and maybe some of the fringe. No, I'm not going to fit both in. So give this one a good press, because it can miss bits out when you're stamping it. I really should have pulled out my stamping platform, but never mind. Oops, I don't think I got enough ink on that. Either that or the paper didn't absorb it very well. But still cool, still usable. So I'm going to do another one on that. I might as well use up this little snippet. So make sure I get a bit more ink on it this time. Hopefully. And give it maybe a longer, better press. Make sure that ink transfers. No, it's still quite pale. I wonder if my pad is getting to a point where it needs re-inking, which is probably quite accurate. It's been a while since I've re-inked it. So there's that one. And let's go for, just looking through my pile, this one. I really love this tile pattern. Both tile patterns are really lovely, but I'm particularly drawn to this one today. Might change my stamp out as well. And maybe go for this wee one. It's got a line, but it hasn't got the text. So because this is a busy background, I don't want to add too much detail. I'll just go down in this corner. And super cute, super cute. I'm going to do another one of those. I haven't got room to to avoid the shoes that way, so I'm going to take it this way. So mix up your direction too and do what works for you. That's a better print. It's darker. Oops, I can't even tell where it is in camera. Yep. Cool. Okay. Now something I do want to try is the book page, children's book page. See what I can get out of this. I really like the hot warm colours there, and I want to try and use some of these designs as little accents in the label. So I'm getting some of the white or off-white background and just using some of the design to create an interesting effect. So I'm just going to whip that one out, cut it out, so you can see what I'm talking about. So you can use a piece of an image in terms of like a flower or you know, something like that, or an abstract design, but more like this. You can just use a piece of it to add detail to your stamped image or stamped label. So I think that looks really cool, just with that splash of colour in the corner. Really, really nice. So I'm not going to go do heaps and heaps on camera because I think you'll get the principle. But while I was hunting for things to use, I came across this recipe book that I was recently given. I tried to find a year, and it talks about 1974, so it was after that, maybe late 74, 75, 1975 it was done. And it's got this really old yellowed paper, and it's got some actually really cool advertisements and things inside it, which are really cool with some nice fonts and things. But I found a page that I didn't want for anything else, and I thought, what if I do a label with some of that on it? I haven't tried this before, and I thought, well, why not? Let's give it a go and see whether it looks good. So with this one, I'm probably more likely to go, you know, in the line of the text rather than do different angles. But you certainly could, if you wanted, do different angles. So I'm going for the ingredients list. And this might be quite fun in like a cooking themed journal. Or anything really. As a decoration, it can go on anything, but particularly fun in a cooking themed journal. So I'm going to cut that out because I'm curious to see what it's going to look like. Giving this one a wee bit of a border, just a very fine one around the inked edge. And then these blank edges are going to be beautiful to stamp words and things onto. So in the interests of not wasting anything, which is a specialty I think of junk journaling, just love looking at different ways you can use stuff. So I think that is super fun. I think it's cute. Lots of fun. I possibly should have taken the stamp down so that, because there's text within the border, and if I'd pushed the stamp down I would have got text on both. But you know, that's how you learn and experiment. I'm going to do another one or a couple just on the instruction part and see what that looks like as well. I won't cut them out though. Just curious to see what they turn out like. Oh, I think they're really cool, really interesting. And again, you could go in with a different stamp over top if you wanted, add some colour, ink around. I would probably ink around these ones because they've got that aged look, and I think a bit of distress ink around the edge would just really suit them. But I think that is awesome. They are really cool and something a bit different. So many different ways you can create these. The other thing I found while I was fossicking was I had this patchwork and quilting magazine. It came from the same lady as I got the recipe book from, and it's got these pattern sheets in the middle, and I thought, I wonder if there's an area in this that would respond really well to stamping. So that one not so much. There's lots of big areas without much interest. So I haven't had a look at these. I just pulled them out and thought we'll try them. Okay, maybe part of this. Now this is black and white, so I'm thinking colour. Stamping and colour on this might be good. So I just grabbed the closest colour to me, which is a green, and let's give it a go and see what it looks like. And I'm just looking for the texture and shapes. So I'm kind of digging these dotted lines and these scalloped edges of the flowers. So let's see what that looks like. Yeah, no, I think that's perfectly usable. I'm going to try another one and go for a different area. Maybe a leaf, since this is green ink I'm using. Maybe if we go for a leaf in the stamp, that might be something that will work. Right, and I really feel the need to cut those out to see how well they look, because at the moment I'm like, yeah, they're cool, but how cool are they? Will they look better once they're actually cut out? So let's have a look. Just bear with me as I chop them up. And I'm not being very careful about my chopping here. Normally I'd be a lot more careful to try and preserve as much of the base as possible. So I've got lots of material to work with. Really, I've got so much material to work with that I don't know why I am so careful, but you know, it's just kind of how I've always been, trying to save as much and get the most out of things as I can. Whereas really it'd be good to get rid of some of the things that I've got so I can, you know, not have so much around the house. But it's hard to undo that training that I've taught myself, I guess. I don't know that I learnt it from anyone else. Right, almost there. So, yep. And it doesn't even matter what direction you have them in. They work either way. And just add a bit of texture and interest. Now you could also coffee dye this paper beforehand if you preferred the coffee dyed look. You could dye it some other way. You could colour it in. This type of line work would be really cool to colour in. Particularly if you used more of a open stamp like these ones, where it's just the border, then you could colour in the line work like the leaf and create your own coloured labels as well. Would be a cool idea. Okay, so that's all the stamping I'm going to do, but I did just want to talk to you, if you don't have stamps, what are you going to do? How are you going to do this? So I'm going to grab one of my bits of paper out of the pile. Maybe we'll go for this one. And first idea is tracing around an object. So I've got this lid from a plastic container, and I've got a Sharpie, black Sharpie, and you could use whatever pen you like. You could use Biro or a fine liner. You could even use pencil and then just rub out the pencil line. And I'm just going to trace around it like so. Now beware, whatever you're tracing around is going to get, if you're using black pen, is going to get black around the rim. So don't use something that you don't want to get dirty, and it can be hard to take it off, depending what type of pen you use. So once you've drawn your shape, you can then cut it out. And if you like having lines to write on or something, then you can grab a ruler or the side of a block or whatever you've got. And I haven't got a black pen, so I'm just going to do it in a blue biro. I don't think it will matter. And just rule yourself some lines. I'm just going to do 3. And they're not evenly spaced, but I don't think that really matters. So there we go. That's one idea. So you can trace around something. Or you can hand draw. So I'm going to go in maybe this darker purple area. It's just a flat purple, which is quite a pretty colour. And just draw yourself. Now you could use a ruler, or you could make it more sort of, what's the word, random. And there I've just drawn a rectangle shape that's a bit curvy, bit quirky, unique, like so, and then just square cut around it, straight cut around it. So you can draw it. You can punch, use a punch. If you've got a punch, then you can create labels with a punch. So let's go for a different bit. So maybe some of this blue sky up in this one, and just use your punch to make a label. And you can also, if you have a different size of the punch, go in and grab a section of a different colour. So going for some of that ice or snow, I think it is. And that's the size difference is perhaps a bit too big. You'd want a finer border, but you can layer them up to make a multicoloured layered label. And then you could add lines to that as well. You could ink the edges to make them stand out. And punches come in all different sorts of shapes. So you could use a square one. I know Creative Memories, when they were here in New Zealand, if you've got some of their punches, they've got some punches that have decorative edges on their squares and things. There's lots of different ways. If you've got the decorative edging scissors, which I have, but not here, I only just thought of them, then you could cut a decorative edge on your label. It's like there's lots of options, so don't feel stuck. I don't have a label stamp. Hand draw them. If you don't want the hand drawn look, then use a punch. If you don't have a punch, use fancy scissors. You know, there's lots of options, so don't ever feel stuck. And then as time goes on, if you want to invest in certain things, then hopefully you would have narrowed down exactly what type of style or item you would get the most use out of. So I really hope this video has been useful. I'll move my book so that hopefully you can see. So we've made some cute labels. This one needs a bit of work. This one needs cutting out, obviously. Yeah, different ways of using up some papers that you haven't got another way of using. There's our little recipe ingredients list one. Another one. I really just want to cut them all out because, you know, I feel like they're not as easily seen when they're not cut out away from the distracting background. So yeah, so hopefully this has been useful and you've got some ideas. So let me know what you think in the comments. Give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't and would like to see more. Thanks so much for joining me, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye for now.